Welcome back to Carahcast, the podcast from Carahsoft, the trusted government IT solutions provider. Subscribe to get the latest technology updates in the public sector. I'm Anthony Jimenez, your host from the Carahsoft production team. On behalf of our reseller JTEK, we would like to welcome you to today's podcast, focused on strategic partnership alliances that drive real business results. Jody Ferguson, Vice President of JTEK, Jeff Wolven, co-founder at JTEK, Jim Hathaway, Principal at JTEK, William Sutherland, Channel Director at Carahsoft, and Corey Rooney, Director at Carahsoft, will discuss how your organization can leverage cutting-edge technology solutions to transform IT and enhance collaboration in the industry.
My name is Jim Hathaway, one of the three founders of JTEK Data Solutions. Before that, I met the other founders working at a large global IT manufacturer, and we built this business, started really in late 2012.
My name is Jody Ferguson, one of the founders at JTEK. And, Jim and I also met at that company, EMC. So we've not only been, friends and worked together with, technology, but for a while. So JTEK is for us has kind of been, together and working, as much as possible to meet the goals, every day. So it's a nice, intimate family.
Awesome. My name is Will Sutherland. I'm the director of the channel for Dell Technologies underneath Miriam Dottie. I've been here about 8 years. I've been supporting JTEK all 8 years. Seen you guys for the last 8 years grow, and you guys have done an amazing job. So I'm happy to be here, though, and being on this podcast with you guys.
Yeah, my name's Corey Rooney. I'm the Senior Director of Partner Business Development here at Carahsoft. And in my role, I support an ecosystem of over 4,000 value-added resellers and solution providers. And really happy to be here talking to JTEK. We've been working together, and we helped them at a very, very early stage, about 13 years ago. They bring a unique customer-centric business model and tons of expertise that we're really, really excited by. They share a lot of the same philosophies that we have here at Carahsoft and are in this business to help support the customer, mission-centric, and really add a lot of value. And it's important to be working with partners like JTEK in this time of change in our industry. And so very fortunate to be here with you all today.
Thank you.
I think a big thing too, like we were talking about call blitzes, right? So like when we identify from the Dell side on when we do those call blitzes with certain partners such as JTEK is how you guys can take and manage our customers when we go through it. You guys are one of the best partners of doing that, of taking one of our customer and nurturing them and making them your own, and then registering those opportunities and close those opportunities. You guys do it better than most. And you guys can not only sell a product, but you guys can sell a solution and what's going to be mission critical for our customers. So that's a big thing that you guys, that we love for when we do those call outs with you guys, that you guys bring from a value add.
Would you guys be able to take a minute and tell us about how you all got started and what made you want to start JTEK and be in this business? And I'd love to hear sort of your side of and your story.
Sure. Give it a first stab.
Yeah.
Working at a large company, there's a lot of structure, a lot of process, a lot of internal focus. And I think that just becomes the nature of the beast in large companies. They're more bureaucratic. There's more functions that you have to tend to. And so for me personally, I would see 14 to 15 hours a week of my schedule dedicated to internal meetings.
Wow.
So when I would want to travel, I was covering DoD and IC customers at the time. When I would schedule trips to go visit customers, which should have been the whole point of the job, the challenge was how many people I had to call and say, hey, I can't have this call this week. I won't be here. I won't be available, et cetera, et cetera. And to me, it was an inward focus that just wasn't productive.
Right.
And so I thought I could do so much more in a smaller business, being more direct with my customers. And so I think, not to speak for Jody or Jeff, but I think there was a similar frustration, and we thought, let's narrow our focus on number of customers, but do more for them. Because obviously when you're working with a vendor, you've got the vendor's line card, and if you're a specialist, your specialist line card, and that's it. So we thought, let's get a more relevant, meaningful line card that's, to our customers, and spend all of our time with them versus having internal meetings.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that, it was, we learned so much, at the bigger companies where we were, And I felt like that was like our training or our reps we got, and we
Great point.
do more. And it wasn't even just more, not being selfish. We wanted to do more for our families and do different things and be available at different times. What Jim's talking about, that 14 hours a week, was maybe reporting or maybe managing, or in some places babysitting. So you kind of want to just form your own, form your own company, but put your creative sides into it. So, and that's really where the Carahsoft piece is, because if it's not 8 years or 13 years, we've been with you since pretty much day one or day two, but it's kind of cool to see how we grew together. We all started out one office. We all started out doing, to Jim's point, 1 or 2 customers. Now look at the size of the team. I just walked in and I met some folks that, I've been on cadence calls with them, but we've grown with them. It's pretty cool. And we've learned together, right? We've all had our times where we needed to do more for the customer. We couldn't, so we filled that void with the team together.
How long did it take you all to get from 0 to 1?
We're still going. I mean, well, 1,500 orders with us.
You're doing okay.
So the day 2 of starting was sequestration. So we all handled that together, right? And we might have filled more time with doing call blitzes, the demand gen. The demand gen is the biggest part of this whole conversation and why we've been successful together, right? So we kind of just pivoted, and you guys pivoted, we pivoted, and we do a lot of things that get us to not only 1, 2, but it's been a journey, and it's for us, it's been fun because we've done it together.
Absolutely.
I think sequestration is actually a good point, because that was such a shock to the system of everybody in federal IT. For me, that was like kind of a pivotal moment, right? Who can respond to this, deal with it, overcome it? And, just like I said, it was a shock. And so for us in our first year, it was almost a good problem to have. I would never have said that then, but you realize what can occur.
Yeah.
And so now when you look at read the news from January 20th on, it's been more of these similar types of shocks. I think not as significant, but definitely they've had a pretty big impact on how people view our customers and how the customers are dealing with just their own lives.
Yeah, I've always looked at JTEK as lean, agile, and laser focused from not just a customer standpoint, but when you're working with the OEMs and the manufacturers that we represent, there seems to be this very focused mentality on, hey, what's going to be successful for the customer? And I was doing a little bit of research on y'all, you bring a really interesting 5-stage approach to, I think, every customer engagement, which is advisory services or engagement. And I don't remember the steps perfectly, but you bring a laser focus to your customers that I think is refreshing when we are looking in this industry, especially this, I'd say, administration has been much more focused on Department of Government efficiencies, the OneGov solution, and I've been very happy to see some of the changes that I've been making, because there aren't a lot of partners like you, and I think you do things much more, I'd say, creative in this business as opposed to being considered what some people are looking at as a tax.
Yeah.
I don't see that.
So I think across the board, and it goes right down to the employees that we bring on board.
Absolutely.
The DNA is really like, if you need help, reach out. I need help. You kind of, there's more, you have more, you have a better, solution or a better offering for a customer when you work together. You're stronger together. I know that's more of a cliche, but we've never been afraid to say, hey, we need a little help here. Hey, what would you do in this situation? And we do that with Dell, and we do that. I mean, the history there, they've got a lot more customers than we do. They've seen a lot of the same things and challenges that we see, but you got to be able to, not be as stuck in that box or the cubicle or, just that one, you got to be able to say, hey, we need some help. Mm-hmm. And I think everyone from JTEK, especially on the sales side, we've done that with you folks, and you guys have always been like, here's what we would do.
Right.
Yep.
And then at the end of the day, that goal and that mission you're supporting, it's even stronger because we're more confident. We might have missed something, and we do all the time.
Yeah.
But it's a little more, you got Carahsoft, you got Dell, you have JTEK, and the customer.
Yeah, I think to a point you made earlier about the training ground, right? We learned, Jody, Jeff, and I all came from commercial customers. Wow. So I figure Fortune 500. where everything was about the financial sale. I mean, obviously the technical piece was clear, no question about that, but just as important was the financial benefit of what you're getting and for how much you're spending on that. And so we've brought that as much as we can to the federal customer base. Right. And I think that's goes to what you're saying about that laser focus on, we try to always show them data-driven. Here's where you are today. Here's what this thing will bring you, whether it's efficiencies with personnel or funding or both. That's the goal, is to show them what they're getting beforehand, and then afterwards prove it. This is what we said we were going to do. Look, this is what we did. And people ask, well, what's your brand, or how do you see yourself? And it's like, I don't know if we really have we're not creative enough to have a brand, but if every customer says we had a good experience with JTEK, then that's
right.
And that's where I think when it comes to value-added reseller, that's where you guys are. You guys are giving that value add to the customer.
There's a interesting, we do have a mission statement, and not a lot went into it. It's 3 words: people, process, and technology. But that's very powerful.
Yeah.
And if you think about the balance of it, and we always say the technology, every technology is great. It's 60% faster, 40% cheaper, just like the next version of the phone. It's very important, but there's a great balance that I think from our side that we deliver very well to the customer.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of people, right? A lot of FaceTime. We've spoke with events. You've been to a lot of the events with us. And I think that people, we kind of brought that from the enterprise and commercial side of selling and those customers, because you have to be in front of them. You have to be educating. There is that 5-step process. But when you deliver that on the federal side, or a blend of that, I think that's a little warmer of an experience. So that makes that journey a little more rememberable. And then I truly feel that that's why we continually to do some of the same agencies and some of the same organic growth, because they understand that journey and they enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
So we've done a lot of work together trying to help you guys identify more customers. Do you think that starts with a specific set of customers, or your experience in supporting a specific manufacturer? Which works better for you, or which have you seen more success with us that we could help you all replicate more in the future?
It's a great question. I think it'd probably be the latter.
Yeah.
And Will can probably speak to this. He's been working pretty closely with us for 8 years, but what I think we've seen, maybe you can, it's like, I have my perspective, right? Yeah. You could be very different from yours, but is you have success within a certain account, a certain customer base. You show why you're successful, and it happens for a number of years consistently, right? It's not a one-hit wonder kind of thing. And that opens up more opportunities. And so what I've seen is someone like Will then acts as an intermediary to say, okay, because you've done so well here, I want to introduce you to these other places here that I know those counterparts within my manufacturer base. They're going to work well with you. This is what, like, your kind of work is what they're looking for. I think this is going to equal great success. I don't know if I'm explaining that well or not, but
you are. So, I mean, obviously we can give a use case around the State Department. You guys have done amazing work there, and we want to replicate it across different agencies on getting you guys into certain ones that we see not only you guys as a great fit, but also like, hey, JTEK can come into these opportunities, and kind of like what you guys were saying was like, build a solution that's going to fit the customer. It's not just going to be a product that you guys want to sell, or it's going to be something that the customer mission critical needs, right? Yeah. So I think a big thing for us is when we identify JTEK as that reseller, you guys have done an amazing work whenever we bring you into, and you guys have done when it comes to like the Tribes account and other ones. Like Tribes it's a tough account. Like Tribes is, hey, like you have to know somebody to then win that opportunity, right? And it's like the IC, it's very trusted. Like, and you guys came in there and like a year ago or 2 years ago, and you guys have done an amazing job with getting the customer and trust you guys, and then also going in and giving them the solution that fits their needs. So that's where we like to replicate you guys.
So just to piggyback some of the stuff that Jim was saying, I think like getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
There's so much in their portfolio. There's so many different cybersecurity things. I think what we've gravitated to is the teams, different places to solve and be able to solve it for our customers. So getting out of our comfort zone is a big one. And as far as the Tribes, there's another side of our businesses for military sales, and there's not a lot of competition there. So try to gravitate to where people aren't hanging out so much.
Yeah.
It's easy, the easy button, I should say, right? And then provide like coverage on, and if you've been to some face-to-face meetings in the tribes, it's a different, it's a different.
You guys lean into the hard, which is great.
Totally.
But you guys are the easy button, right? So
I don't look at
Try to bring the
right? You guys lean into the hard, but then you guys are the easy button, if that makes sense. Where it's like, hey, like this is a hard agency to get into, and you guys break into it, and you guys do an amazing job, and then now it's, hey, we bring you guys in, and now it's easy for us to bring you guys into the next deal, the next deal.
Yeah, I don't see you all, the JTEK team, as studying the Exhibit 53s and going through the budget line item by line item, saying, hey, where's the money? It's, hey, where are the problems?
Yeah.
Where are the customers that are really struggling, that need a partner in this business that can be with them, navigate the technology manufacturer ecosystem, navigate the solution set, and come from an advisory and consultative perspective? I've really seen that time and time again with you all as partners, and it's shown across, hey, we've done almost 1,500 transactions together, over $300 million in sales across a really interesting technology vertical of solutions. And it's across the board. It's where the problem exists, not, hey, where always the money has been, where everybody's chasing. So that's something I want to say kudos
That's
to.
starting day one. I think we've always talked about it. We had some good advisements, whether it was on the legal side or putting our contracts together, but it's always been the same thing. Jody, Jim, Jeff, don't worry about the money.
Right.
And it also seems to, don't worry about the money. If you can go in there and find the right way to deliver the right solution, the money will come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, like, you look at some of the valuations of some of the newer companies, whether it's AI or one removed, the money's just, it's all coming. It's the idea, and it's really what problem you're solving. And that's really what we try to focus on, right?
Yeah.
Is there a good evaluation criteria you have for who a potential customer you'd want to come in and talk to? Because I think the answer for you all is whoever has a problem. But please, I'd love to enlighten
Back
us.
to the days of, the audience we service was making sure your systems are online 24/7. I think that's, if you looked at and collectively looked at all our customers being up 24/7, no matter what it is, if it's an app or whatever, their technology serving their business and making sure that they're having the lights on all the times and being secure. I think those are the two biggest things that is a common denominator across all our customers. The same business that's protecting passports.
Yeah.
I can never be offline.
No.
And it can never not be
I hope
secure.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it can never have a second.
Right.
I mean, we can go into all the details of what we provide there, but those are the common denominators.
No, I think that's a great, even we have some commercial business and it follows the same, those few things, but they're kind of non-negotiable, right? It's got to be a 24/7 by forever set of applications. And obviously, security is foremost. So, yeah.
Great.
Not a sexy answer, but it's definitely, that kind of nails it, right?
Yeah.
There are plenty of applications where it's like, hey, we run 8 to 5 Monday to Friday. If that's the case, it's probably not going to be a good fit.
And how important is your success with those customers to leading to other customers? Do you see a lot of customers introducing you to other folks within their industry or other colleagues across agencies that have similar situations, or that could use you as an advisory services from a sales perspective or technology solution perspective?
I'd say 100%.
Wow.
And it doesn't happen fast. It's like anything else. Like if you want to build a good relationship, I mean, I don't know, maybe I don't want to say this out loud. Maybe someone got married in a day, but like, typically good relationships take a while to build, right? And that's, it can be painful when you're in it, but when you're thinking like, where's this going? But I think a lot of relationships with new customers have come from those one-off, everything is kind of like 1 degree of separation.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about some marketing events we do, and it's funny. We'll get to a place where we're hosting a party or some kind of event, and you notice that everyone there is 1 degree of separation. Where we're like, Mike is only here because Sarah introduced us to Mike. And Mike brought someone else with him, and it's like that thing continues to roll. And it's maybe another analogy is like a snowball, right? It starts very, very small, but as it gets bigger, all of a sudden, before you realize it, you've got something. Okay, there's critical mass here. There's something I can work with.
Yeah.
That's the tricky part of being a small business, is past performance.
Right.
I mean, even you go to show whether you're a prime or a sub, that past performance has got to be a certain threshold. From a financial side, it's got to be a certain length of time.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been delicately working that space, and now where we are is we're able to take some of that past performance and promote it, right? and then we can market that and then find some more of those customers that we're solving that problem for.
Right.
But that's been an interesting, mix of ways to promote it and get more business, and then keep it organically growing, right?
Yeah. I remember the days when it was calling a customer, Carahsoft who, and we still get that from time to time, but I don't see your customers as the people you're talking to as JTEK who. It's you're walking into customers that either know you or have, I think, had some experience with the folks that are bringing you into those conversations. As this is someone we trust, this is someone that we believe in, this is someone that's an honest broker for us. So I think we'd love to find ways where we can help you drive more business and uncover more opportunities.
Yeah. Do you guys have any good use cases, like examples of like a customer that you guys worked with before that has called another customer and you guys in?
There's one that's adjacent to that. It comes to mind first because it's we're dealing with it every day. But we had a customer in the Marine Corps who, active duty Marine, went from our customer site to another location where we didn't have a good way of working with them just based on contracts. And but we stayed in touch with him socially, was like a friend. Right. Because we had helped solve a problem. He appreciated it. So this guy became a friend effectively. And when we needed a absolute unicorn engineer with all the top clearances, a past performance of that engineer that was second to none. I mean, people that they're not on LinkedIn, they're not on social media. I mean, you can imagine the type of background we're looking for. And he said, oh yeah, like one phone call at 10 o'clock at night. And he was like, yeah, because we were texting back and forth. And he's like, Jody, just call me, like let's. And so literally at 10 o'clock on like a Wednesday, he gave us the name of someone, hired the person 2 weeks later. That person then brought in 2 or 3 more people. Those people brought in, the on-site presence where we needed an engineering base, it became all because of one customer where I was thinking about this. A lot of times the relationships, you don't realize kind of what you've got until you're asking for something, right? And we're usually asking for a deal. We're asking to get something done. We're not asking for, can you introduce us to another customer? Can you introduce us to someone, an engineer that might be looking for a job? But all those are out there. So I'd say that's one example. Another one was,
I want to add one thing.
Oh, sure.
Do you know how that all started? Because there was the backup team at EMC before the Dell relationship. They're like, there's like a 17, and then this is, I don't know how the number was, maybe $17,000 or $24,000 networker renewal.
Yeah.
So we're like, well, you know what? Let's go down and meet the customer. We'll take 2 meetings down at Quantico, and sure enough, we went down there and met them, and that led to another discussion, that larger discussion of, at the time, it was a V-Block we sold in there off this backup networker, and then he introduces us to his folks, and we do a lab day, and they all come in, and this gentleman, Major Beard, is his name, and Major Beard is who he's talking about. But that was because Dell worked with us and trusted us to go in and say, hey, just go in. And I think what we did was they had the Oracle application, and they wanted us to set up the rest of the backup infrastructure, which we did. And I think we just renewed the licensing the other day, but that's how it started. Dell trusted us. We got in front of the Marine Corps, the MCRIC, which is a recruiting command. They trusted us, and then they trusted us to take it one step further to provide, a full data center solution. And this gentleman moved on to another spot and trusted us to put his friend at the fort. That's a good kind of entryway. We usually do business with Dell.
Yeah, that's 10 plus years.
Yeah.
Right. To another example, at within DOJ, we had a software build. It's kind of like taking 2 COTS softwares and building the software to make them talk together. And there were a number of changes along the way that were not part of the contract. It was, hey, sorry, can you make this tweak and make that tweak? And they were painful to the delivery team at the time and painful to the software development team at the time. But we never complained to the customer. We didn't ask for changes of scope or anything like that. It was just, we'll eat it and move forward. Let's just get a good win. And now that customer advocates for us everywhere. And it's funny, I had another vendor call me and say, hey, what did you do? They love you there. I want to work with you because that customer loves you. Like what? And I was like, wow, it's funny because you don't
the
see
right
the other
thing.
side.
The right thing.
Do the
Not
right
just
thing.
customers, but it's also vendors to call in. You're saying, I heard this, you did this, we've been trying to work here, and you guys have
Right.
done a
He
decent
mentioned
job.
your name. Yeah. So what can we do together? So it's kind of crazy because, I didn't, at the time you just think like, oh, well, it's easier for us to do the right thing than it is to fight and say, well, you owe us 50 extra hours here and 10 hours there. It's not worth the time and effort. And again, going back to what's our brand, we want them to say they were always, doing their thing for us that mattered. Because ultimately I know that it makes their life harder, right? They have to go fight with their legal team and their funding and everybody else. It's like, you're there to make their life easier, not harder, right? Get improve mission outcome, not let them focus. If I'm having them focus on legal and funding, then they're not focusing on the mission. So, some examples.
Those are great.
Leading into the hard, making it fun.
Right.
I mean, that's what I feel like that's what you guys are all about.
That's good themes, but definitely try to. A lot of the issues and challenges. I don't want to say issues, challenges you solve on the technology side. It's sometimes it's not one way to deliver it, but it's the human way, right? Just, hey, we can help you with this, right? Don't have to fill out this document. We'll help you with this. It's not capped at hours. If it takes to the middle of the night, what it does, we'll do it.
That's great.
Yeah.
What else do we want to talk about? What's important to you all?
I mean, we've had so many great milestones met. This is definitely not a JTEK brag session, but
it should be. I mean, that's why we're here.
We're great. We're beautiful. I mean, all these things. I mean, it's all been the people that have made us who we are, and you guys embracing our people. We've all had those challenges. Salesperson is only there for 8 or 9 months, just getting started, and you guys embraced all our new folks and old folks. But Dell recently, I think it was the beginning of May, entered in. Not a lot of folks get an opportunity, but they offered us a letter of supply where we can work with your team and the Dell team, which is a very small community.
Yeah.
So that was a big milestone. Over that time period, we got an opportunity to be part of the partner roundtable, which is only a handful. I mean, we're talking handful.
Sure.
5, 6, 7, or 8, 9, 10 folks are at the table. Those are great things that you can put on the wall and look at, but for Jim, Jeff, and I, that gave us some validations. We're moving in the right direction.
It's fantastic.
There's a lot of days where, and we all come from the sports world, and you have 6 bad days and 1 good day. There's weeks where you just can't see the light, but you just keep moving forward. When we first started, I always. Hey, it's like building a tree house. You bring in a shingle today. Jeff brought in a 2x4. I brought the nails. But you're constantly still evolving like that. Yeah. So those two things made us very proud because that Dell, Carahsoft validated that, right? These are much larger organizations that have been around a lot longer than us, service the government a lot longer than us. And the other thing is we're building an inside sales program that's now in a year of transitioning. But we have some great milestones that met. We just added 2 more folks in March, and the amount of things they've done with you folks and the amount of things that they've done from outreach, appointments, the amount of dials, those are the things that you call the blocking and tackling of the business. But that kind of gives you those other 2 things, letter of supply, the GSA, the things that we're doing with you and the validations there. So
yeah,
a lot of the little things are adding to the big things. Right?
Well, you mentioned the GSA and federal contract vehicles, and we're fortunate to have built up a pretty robust, I'd say, portfolio of vehicles. You all have been a terrific partner in embracing that model and working collaboratively with us and understanding, hey, let's work together on this. Let's accelerate this process as opposed to trying to overcomplicate it for the manufacturer. And I think that's led to a lot of your success. So I just want to point that out, that I think it's been a keystone to our partnership and your ability to help scale into this market.
Thank you for that.
100%, of course.
You're an interesting story from starting from scratch and really coming in. And we're one of, I think, if not the first partner where we looked at and said, hey, I think we could help these folks accelerate, because they brought a mentality of, hey, we're leading with solutions. We're focusing on the customer. We need help from the back office. And we went through that early on, and we understand we're not in this business without partners. We're not in this business without small partners. And there are, I'm not going to say a lot, but there are a lot of partners in this business that might not be adding nearly as much value as you. And if we can help a partner like JTEK accelerate, it was an easy sort of light bulb for us to say, how do we help these folks get their story and help get technology solutions in front of customers faster without having to worry about all the challenges of being a small business. So
I mean,
we're very happy.
Just banking, our first thing, Craig was like, oh, I can help you with that, and got us introduced to Zenith, and like all these things. They're the little things, but they mean a lot.
And take a lot of time. So talk about a couple of use cases that you've been successful with from a customer standpoint that other customers and other vendors need to know about that represents your success in this industry. Any that come to mind?
Yeah, so I think one that sort of jumps out is with State Department, and what makes it unique is kind of going back to our roots of financial wins and working with the customer to understand, and actually even thinking about today, you mentioned government efficiency. Everyone needs to show that they're not overbuying, that they're getting a good price for what they're using. And at the same time, Dell's a manufacturer, brought a program to market called Apex, where effectively you're able to buy like they're buying cloud services, but they have on-premises solutions. So for this customer, let's say they needed 500 terabytes of storage, but they're only going to use 150 today. That's all they get charged for, is they get charged that amount of usage on a per month basis over a period of time of the contract. And so for them, they get everything they need up front. They're only paying for what they use, on a monthly basis, which is really a win for everyone. And for us, it's a new way of buying. We were able to take this contract to their, they have an organization that does all IT contracts for all the different bureaus. And so it's approved by them. So now we can actually do this, across the board with all the bureaus. But for us, it started with inside consular affairs. And again, just a win for everyone, a win for the manufacturer, because this is what a program they rolled out. Carahsoft was instrumental in helping us negotiate this, because this was a financial instrument that we were unfamiliar with. And so you guys had brought some leadership and expertise there. Again, and the customer, they're able to show that, hey, they weren't doing large capital expenditures anymore. Everything was brought down to smaller operating expenses.
And explaining that, like, consumption models, it's kind of tough for the customer, right? They don't understand it. They maybe were burned before from a consumption model, but you guys went in there and you guys did a great job of explaining it, having the customer trust you guys on it. It's a complex sale, and you guys did an amazing job with delivering that to the customer, and again, saving the customer.
Yeah, I think that for them, it came closer to the easier button because of the budget strengths and the financial, how the money flows in and out. And then they've recently, in the last probably year or last 15 months, have said, hey, listen, we have a bunch of Cisco gear, or we have other things that we need in the environment. And since it was so easy to, I don't know if the word was easy, since it was so, much easier for it to do it this way, do you mind just adding them to the contract?
Yeah.
Like, sure, absolutely,
Yeah.
which started as something just, that was all Dell, and now they need some network equipment, or they have some old network equipment that they would like to put in it makes it easier for their budgeting, for the financial flow of how they pay for it. Of course, anything we can do that.
Has that led to additional opportunities in other use cases, or is that something that you find
I'd say additional manufacturers within that customer.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is we're taking that use case to other customers to say, this is what they did.
Right.
And here's how it looked before. Here's what, how they were doing things before. Here's how they're doing it now. And every federal customer has experience using cloud-based contracts.
Right.
And so for them, it's okay. They have to get their head around the fact that it is on premises, but they don't own it. It's just effectively rental, right? You're using what you're paying for what you use, and that's it. And once they understand that, it seems to go much faster. And they see that they're not the on the bleeding edge. Right?
They're not
this
the
has been
pioneer,
done right. Exactly. Nobody wants to be the pioneer, right?
I think from a case study or use study, or from learning from other customers, as we talk about, taking this solution to other customers, we have a pretty successful commercial enterprise business. Customers like Penske Auto, Warner Brothers here locally. But not that they're ahead, but they've tried things in the market that some of our federal government agencies have been able to do because of how their budget flows. So we have one customer that went all in on a kind of a public cloud and then brought everything back to a Dell EMC solution. But we've learned from that, right? So to be able to take that lessons learned or all that data, say, Mr. Customer, we've seen this work in this situation. We've seen it not work. We could talk to them. You were at an event with them, but we've learned a lot from. They're two different types of animals: the federal market, and then your traditional, commercial company or enterprise company or law firm. The way they buy is completely different. How they buy is completely different. When they buy is different. But they, at the end of the day, solve it with some of the same solutions. It's just a different way of doing it. So we've kind of taken that commercial model and applied it to the federal model, or at least showed them an opportunity to do things differently.
Looking a year or two out, what does success look like to JTEK? Where do you all envision yourself from a growth perspective, from a customer perspective? What does shoot the moon look like for you all? I'd be curious to hear what you have to say.
So I think one thing that's really hard in a small business is you try something once, it fails, you don't want to do it again, right? But in the bigger scheme of things, one failure, like say you're playing blackjack, so what?
Right.
You keep going and going and going. You go, oh, actually, the process works, but you might fail 3 or 4 times in a row before you win 5 times in a row. So what I'd like to think is that over the time we've tightened up on what we know works, even if there is failure, that's inevitable, right? So because we've tightened up on what we know works, when we get more opportunities from someone like Will saying, hey, I want you to work with this team and this account, we're successful more often than we're not, right? So what we see is just a kind of an exponential growth in the amount of times we try something. The success rate gets better because we know, how to do our job better. I don't know if that's not a super concise answer for you, but
no, it's great. A Hall of Fame hitter is missing 6 out of 10. Isn't getting on base more than 6 out of 10 times.
Right.
So the fact that you all are willing to continually try things, despite the fact knowing, hey, this might not work for this specific customer, but we want to go tell this story, I think is what separates you from some of the partners that are a little bit more, I'd say, risk averse and, hey, we're only going to focus on a very small set of customers or a very small set of solutions and really lean into what we know, where you all take swings. You all take a lot of swings, and it's been refreshing to see that in a partner that's lean and as agile as you.
Yeah, and I would say, to add on what Jody had mentioned earlier about that Marine Corps customer, it started off with, say, a $20,000 opportunity, but then it grew to millions just based on building that relationship, going back to the whole idea of the snowball, right, or the relationship. It's got to start small and then grow. So when Will introduces us to people and says, hey, this is something I think you guys would be good at, we trust Will's judgment, and we say, okay, hey, it only led to a $50,000 deal this year, but okay, that's a net new logo. Yep. Any net new customer is hard, super hard to come by, right? I mean, everything is challenging. So when you're able to see even a small win, we got to celebrate that and say, okay, great. Next year, it's going to be 150. Next year, it's going to be 500, right? And we know that will happen.
Yeah.
Where maybe a company that is just starting this year says 50K, we can't live off that. Let's move on. Just something that we've learned. So when you say success, maybe it's a few new customers, and we're seeing that ramp up.
Yeah, a few new logos too.
Yeah.
Right. And that's one thing that, like, when it comes to JTEK and introduce you not just to customers and like for Dell, it's like introduce you to the big logos, right? And even the small emerging ones that we're bringing on too.
Yeah.
Hey, we have a value-add reseller that knows the solutions, knows how to go in and get not only the customer entrustment, but also the vendor entrustment as well.
Yeah, I don't look at you all as looking at it as a customer, as a logo. I look at you guys as having a customer as a client that you'll want to work with or do your best to try and support for the life of your relationship. So that's how I see you guys in this market.
I mean, ultimately, people want to work with people they like, and the people they trust. So that's ultimately what we're always trying to earn.
Yeah, I think the people thing, you look at the next year or two, is I think my thoughts don't change. It's just like, two of the salespeople have been on almost 7 years. They're here another 2 years. So you're doing something
right.
Yeah.
And it's part of like growing this inside team. It started at last March as 2, and now we're at almost, 3 to 4. And if they're here in 2 years, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
They wouldn't want to pick up their gym bag and go somewhere else for it. So totally. It's a very, checks and balances, but for me, it's 100% success is around the people.
Got it.
And, they stick around, they are around, you're taking care of them, they're growing the teams, you're enabling them. Right. As much as we can enable and get and them in front of net new logos, and to Jim's point, that's the recipe. And they just come and just repeat it.
Yeah. I love it. In the last 8 years, how much have you guys grown and scaled with JTEK?
I mean, from revenue, it's at least 20% every year, right?
Roughly. Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's the
Yeah.
compound annual growth.
Yeah. From services, that's been probably the most explosive part of our business, and that's everything from the cyber range engineers that are working at the fort now, which validates a lot of the things that we're doing with our recruiting. That is the hardest part of the business.
Recruit.
I'll look at him.
The people.
Yeah, and,
Absolutely.
And we've always, in the beginning, in the first couple of years, we didn't do as much interviewing as we should because we find out so much more, whether it's the customer or who they're working with or what's worked. So we spend a lot of time interviewing. I mean, I do a lot more for the cyber and the folks that will end up on that contract, but the salespeople and the amount of time that you spend with, he's like, it's almost like poker, Jody. We take 3 cards in, 2. That piece is the most difficult part of the whole.
Yeah.
Got to keep improving your hand.
Yeah, always be recruiting, but I find that's the hardest part of the business.
Yeah.
And if we can get good at that,
The rest takes care of itself. Right.
Yeah.
we'll find
Absolutely.
the technology and we'll find the customers.
Are there any technology trends that you all are seeing that are more on the bleeding edge side, or where you think are, hey, the next virtualization, the next cloud computing, the next AI ML? Is there anything that your customers are starting to express interest in where you're trying to stay ahead of the curve, or that you're seeing that you're getting excited about it? I'm very curious to hear. You all are very deep with your customers and very close to your customers. I'd be curious if there's anything on the horizon that you're getting excited about.
You know what? I wish I had a better answer for you. And for the new things, the new hot technology on the federal side, they're mostly looking to us.
Well,
It's just outside.
Yeah.
And so then a lot of times we're asking our commercial partners or commercial customers, what are you seeing? Because they're so much faster to try, fail, move on
All right.
than federal. Just even because they can get access to things, access to money, access to lab space, build it, either their successors, failure, and move on to the next one. Whereas the government, think about that time of money to get money, to apply for the money. You got the people to set aside people for that. So I'd say no, there's a lot. I think if anything, the hype right now, especially on AI, is much greater than the results that we've seen.
Yeah.
And so it's good in a way because it gets people excited about looking forward to the next thing, but we haven't seen the results yet that the hype justifies.
I think across the any technology or any way it works or what problem to solve is just easy use.
Yeah.
It's easier. I mean, not that people want the easy way out, or they do, but just there's so much more going on. There's so much more music. There's so many more solutions. I mean, I think, we met with some folks where there's 2,700 cybersecurity products or offerings, and that's a lot for a customer to digest. I remember when they just would look at 7 different companies and pick a firewall and a storage provider. There was 5 or 6 of them, and then the public cloud came, and that was a different form of buying it. So it's really having that just ease of use. It's just going to be a little easier than the last, version that we have. You still understand the iOS, the operating system. It still solves the same problem, but it's,
Do more with less.
yeah.
Yep. Do it more effectively.
And we're all being pushed that way with different financial packages with different, if it's DoD or Intel or civilian. Each no one's coming to you and saying, you won't believe this, but I got 60% more than last year to solve the same problem.
Yeah, right.
It's not. There's 60% more problems and a little less to solve it with.
So what I'm hearing is that the customers that you're finding a lot of success with are the ones that are still struggling with all of the solutions that industry has brought out that are the data center, the infrastructure, moving towards a cloud computing environment, moving away from a cloud computing environment back to private cloud. Those are still challenges that customers are experiencing that you're capable to help them with.
100%.
Yeah, those journeys are every day.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well,
Thank you guys for your time.
Yeah, this has been fantastic.
Appreciate having us.
Yeah.
We really appreciate your partnership and wish you all the best and are here to continually help you grow.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, and thank you to our guests from JTEK Data Solutions. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Carahcast, and be sure to listen to our other discussions. If you'd like more information on how JTEK and Dell Technologies can assist your organization, please visit www.carahsoft.com or email us at delltechnologies@carahsoft.com. Thanks again for listening, and have a great day.